Welcome to Morning Live.
Thank you very much.
Good. Very much. And Dr. Green, more importantly, welcome to South Africa. It's lovely to have you.
It's great to be here.
And I'm sure it's going to be absolutely wonderful having you speaking this evening. Let's talk about Oxfam and its objectives, however. Let's just briefly tell viewers out there what it's all about.
Yeah, sure. Oxfam's an international NGO. We work in 100 countries. And the overall aim of our work is to tackle poverty, inequality and human suffering. So we do a lot of work when there are disasters, earthquakes, famines, that kind of thing. Yeah. But also a lot of long-term work thinking, how do we get inequality down? How do we help poor people, work alongside poor people, work with their organisations?
Yeah. Now, Thembinkosi, this was the second in a series of talks like this. Was the first lot a big success that you've moved on and now doing it all over again?
Yes, the first one was a huge success. We had it on the eve of the Mangaung dialogue in Bloemfontein in December. And we had a number of speakers from South Africa, and they engaged with the audience. Mostly we had someone coming from Alexandra, a township just next to Sentin, and they discussed some of the issues as they see them from the point of view of ordinary people. Yeah. And also the experts, and there was a very good sort of sharing and learning from each other about how to tackle the issues of poverty and inequality.
Yeah, yeah. Now, I mean, bringing in expertise such as Oxfam, and this is a huge discussion, injustice and inequality. I mean, it's not only based or something that we are struggling with in South Africa, it's a global issue. But I mean, when you come in, I imagine it's centralized to speaking about a continent that you are addressing. You know, what are some of the issues that you're going to be looking at when you discuss tonight?
Well, we've been doing a lot of thinking about this. We'll be launching a new book on how people move out of poverty, and we'll be focusing tonight on some of the lessons from other effective states that have reduced inequality in East Asia and in Latin America. And I think one of the things Oxfam can do is just say, well, you've got a big, vibrant debate in South Africa. Look what you can learn from Brazil, look what you can learn from Vietnam, from China, from Malaysia, and I'll be bringing some of those experiences from elsewhere in tonight.
Yeah. I mean, just a snapshot of Africa and South Africa in particular. What are your impressions?
You've got very high levels of inequality here. You've got a state which is determined to try and do something about it, but has real capacity problems, vibrant social movements, popular movement, big political debates, lots of arguments in the press. That's all very healthy. But there is still huge poverty here, and clearly something needs to be done. I've been reading the National Development Plan, trying to understand how the government and other organisations see what's going on here.
Thembinkosi, how do you come up with who's going to contribute to these discussions? Because, I mean, having Oxfam, obviously, it's wonderful to have them there, but I mean, how did this decision come about?
Well, I think in terms of the policy discussions, one of the things that we believe is that it's a discussion that should happen with ordinary people. It should not only be the preserve of the elite or the experts. So what we are trying is to have a blend where we have the experts come down to discuss with the ordinary people, because people who are living in a poverty situation, they are better placed to understand their own circumstances and also to contribute to the policy alternatives that will move them out of the poverty situation. Yeah. So in terms of the platform, it's an open platform. We just look at relevant expertise and relevant people from social movements, from NGOs, to come to the table to have a discussion. And then we hope from there we are going to get some information about what exactly needs to be done.
Yeah. I imagine there's a very big discussion when it comes to developmental states. South Africa is a developmental state. What's the perception out there? I know you say that there's massive inequalities within us, but I mean, globally, how are we perceived?
I'm not sure South Africa is yet seen as a developmental state.
Really?
Because the term developmental state comes from Japan, South Korea, Taiwan, where countries were very effective in industrializing, upgrading so that people got better jobs, investing hugely in health and education, often with very low levels of inequality. Now, I don't think South Africa's there yet. So I'd say a developmental state at the moment is an aspiration.
Okay, well, I mean, that's something we have to work towards in a very, very big way. How do we get there? I mean, what are we doing wrong?
Well, I've been looking at some of the lessons. I'm not going to say what you're doing wrong, I've just been looking at the lessons from elsewhere. Things like Vietnam managed to take off by investing hugely in small farmers. And that meant that everybody was involved in the economic takeoff. You got high levels of equality. Other countries have invested a lot in poorer regions, transferring a lot of money to poorer regions, or in being very careful what kind of foreign investment you encourage. So you don't just have, say, all multinationals can come in. Actually, we want particular multinationals which are going to transfer their technology to local companies. So countries like Taiwan have done that. So you need to be quite careful, discriminating, and learn from others, I think, and then anything is possible. Brazil is a really interesting study. They've got inequality coming down fast through really good social policy, but also getting all the people in the informal economy, the people in the markets and streets, into the formal economy of waged work, and that's made a big impact on inequality there.
All right. Very quickly, some details about the event. Is it open to the public? Are there still tickets available if that is so?
Yes, the event is open to the public. However, due to space limitations, we had to stop the RSVPs. So most of the people will follow us on Twitter and all the other social networks where people will be updating as the event goes on.
What is the best person to follow on Twitter?
The best way to follow on Twitter is to the Mind the Gap. Use the hashtag Mind the Gap.
Mind the Gap.
Adverts, and then you'll get us, and you'll get an update.
Fantastic. Also tonight, this book is going to be released. This is the Duncan Green's From Poverty to Power. It'll be unveiled tonight. Will it be in bookstores around South Africa?
I certainly hope so. The publishers promised me it would be.
Good. Well, I hope so too. Here we go. This is just a preview of what you can expect in bookstores. And Dr. Duncan Green is the author, and he's been in studio talking to us. Thank you so much for being our guest here on Morning Live, and good luck. Dr. Green is from Oxfam, and of course Thembinkosi Dlamini from Wits University. Thank you. Let's take a break.